Welcome to the Magical Mommy Monday podcast. I'm Angela Dahlgren.
I'm Jen Snyder, and we're two moms raised on Disney magic, figuring out parenthood one day, one meltdown, and one pandemic at a time.
We hope you enjoyed this brand new episode. We have Flor Bromley. She is an entertainer and she is celebrating her new album coming out. So we are going to talk about that today. Welcome, Flor, to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So nice to meet you.
That's nice to meet you. You actually did a collaboration with someone else we had on the show, Lori Berkner.
The queen of children's music.
Yes.
I am so honored that she agreed to collaborate with me on it. She's one of my mentors, when I was planning on doing the switch into children's music from musical theater.
Mm-hmm.
She was doing a play with this company that I used to work with as a teaching artist, and her music was being used, and I told them, can you please connect me with her? And she's super busy, and I actually got to sit down with her and have a cup of coffee in the Upper West Side, and she told me all about it, and she told me how hard it was, and I was like, I love it, I want to do it, I want to move on. And it's been, 6 years since that meeting.
Wow.
And here I am, and she agreed to collaborate on this album in a really cool song that when I wrote it, I thought of her. So I'm really happy and honored.
That's so cool.
And we will talk more about your album, but I have to bring up, I listened to that song. I think it's called The Ocean, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's just such a, I don't know if it's the ukulele or something, but there's something just so great about that song. Hawaii is very close to my heart, so maybe it's that. But when I listened to it, it was one of my favorites on the album for sure. Just the whole vibe of it just kind of put me in a very relaxed mood and put a smile on my face. So that's definitely one of my favorites on the album.
It's probably the whale instrument. So this is the sound. It sounds like a whale, but it's actually a saw.
Oh.
Yeah.
That it's made of metal, and Elena Moonpark plays it as a violin, so it goes and
so cool.
when it gets mixed in, it sounds like a whale. And I didn't believe my co-producer. He was like, we're gonna put the saw, and I'm like, what is the saw? And you'll love it. So she came over, she recorded, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I thought, it's a saw. It's a literal saw.
Oh my gosh.
So funny.
It's such a sweet song. And that's, definitely listen to that song. Well, I mean, listen to the album however you want. For sure. But yes. Okay. Since we're already talking about the album, let's just dive right into it. It's your third album, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So after being in lockdown, I started thinking about the world, because everywhere in the news were like, oh, the animals are taking over the cities again. Oh, we have dolphins in Venice, and the deer are in New York City. And I started thinking about the environment and the earth. Also in Peru, where I'm from, in Lima, the capital, the sky is always gray. And we always call it in Spanish, panza de burro, like a donkey's belly, because it's always gray. And people were telling me that it was blue again. And I was like, this is why, like, cars and the pollution are killing the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I started thinking how my ancestors used to pay rituals to the world, and they were more conscious about it. Of course, there were no cars,
Right.
but they were conscious about it, and they would pay tribute to Mother Earth, which in Quechua, which is the language of the Peruvian ancestors, is called Pachamama. And so I started writing a song about it, and just decided to write a whole album about elements of nature.
That's so awesome. I love that.
What I love about your voice is it seems like, I don't know, it seems like a lot of entertainers kind of have that, I don't know, kind of alto-ish voice, or it's just more of a chest voice. And I love getting to hear your voice. It's so different. You have more of that higher range almost. and it's just so pretty and so light.
Mhm.
And it's really a joy to listen to. And I really appreciate it because my voice is also kind of like that. And I feel like you just don't hear that a lot in music. And it's so nice to hear. So I also had to compliment you on your voice. It's so beautiful. It's so nice to listen to. It's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, studying musical theater and studying just singing, all my teachers were like, you should do opera. You're a good soprano. And I'm like, but I don't want to sing opera.
Yeah.
I hear you.
That's not what I want to do.
So I went into musical theater, and the songs that I was given, they were like super high, and I was like, oh, I want a belt. So when I finally realized that I could belt and I could mix, and I made the switch into children's music, I'm like, I can do whatever I want. This is amazing. But growing up, my voice was always very childish. Like I think it still is, except with my mommy voice. And I was always like considered like younger than I was, and I can use that now for my benefit.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. And I think that helps with, like Angela said, like a breath of fresh air. It is that, young feeling to it, and you're able to connect to your audience more that way too.
Yes.
In the best way. Can we go backwards a little bit, since we're talking about how your voice sounded when you were younger? What drew you to music when you were young?
I always wanted to do music, and it's the classical story of the little 4-year-old child in front of the mirror just singing with the hairbrush and like brushing the hair and singing. But being in Peru and being the daughter of professionals, doctor, lawyer slash teacher, college teacher, I was never given the option. And I've always was into arts and puppetry. I think if I was brought into a family of artists, I would have been given more attention to that. But they were always like, yeah, you're going to be a doctor. Yeah, you're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a doctor. And it wasn't until I was 12 years old that I was like, I want to be an actress. And my dad is like, you're going to starve. And
classic dad response, right?
I went with acting. I would say that to my children too.
Yeah.
Acting, I think, because I was more covered, because you don't do theater just by yourself. You belong to a troupe. And I think that gave me the independent way to go that way, that career. And then music, when I discovered musical theater, when I was an exchange student in upstate New York, when I was 17, I was like, yes, this combines everything I love to do. So I thought that was my calling. And then if I came here and I'm like, no, children's music is my And of course, you're always like moving from one place to another, but it was always in the same career path.
What were some of your favorite musical shows that you did?
I loved Into the Woods. I fell in love with that one. I wanted to be Cinderella, and they made me be Cinderella's wife. No, not wife. Sorry, mom. Cinderella's mom. And they put me in the tree, and I told my teacher why, and he was like, "I'm sorry. You know what? You have a very thick accent, and I cannot use you as Cinderella." And I was like, "Okay." And that's when I realized the kind of roles that I was going to get were not the roles that I wanted or that I could get if I was doing it in another language. So, and that after I did musical theater, they would always put me into these roles, right? You're like a Cheetah Rivera, or like, and I'm like, but I cannot kick that high. Yeah. Or do Maria, and I'm like, I cannot sing that high either. Yeah. So it was one or the other, and they always put me in this box. So when I went into children's music, I didn't want to be in the box, but at the same time, it is who I am. So I wanna do things that belong to me. And Pachamama, I think it's the album that I'm more connected with my roots and all that.
Would you say that it's what stands out from your other album because you're connecting with your roots?
I think so. It's a very special album. Also, there's Quechua involved, and I'm not fluent in Quechua. Somebody just asked me that on Instagram. I'm not fluent in Quechua, but my great grandma was Quechua, and my grandma spoke it a little bit. And there's a phrase that I have included in one of the songs. Whenever we were crossing the street, she would always say a phrase in Quechua that I had to call my aunt, because I was like, go something like this. What is? And it was like, "Córrele, córrele," which is Spanish for run. Widely, widely, brincando, brincando, which was like go fast or just go happy and fast. And I had to go to my friend who speaks Quechua. Like, what does this mean? You know, is this Quechua? Is this good? It's like, it's a mix, but he was able to decipher it. And we put that in one of the songs that is about a princess that has to run. It's a Peruvian princess that has to run to save the Inca with a remedy in her hand.
Now you mentioned, did you say Quechua? Did you say?
Yeah.
Did you also say that Pachamama was a language?
So Quechua is the language of Peruvians, the Incas, the Inca culture, and Pachamama is a Quechua word for Mother Earth.
Okay, but it's also a holiday, right?
Yes. So Pachamama Raimi is the holiday that it's August 1st, and it's about paying tribute to Mother Earth. And Cusco, people in Cusco and people in Peru and in Latin America celebrate that day as Pachamama Day.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that's coming up very soon.
Yeah.
Did you kind of date the album? I was
Wait
wondering.
a second. We're connecting dots here.
Oh, look at me putting 2 and 2 together. Well, that's very cool. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't even heard of that. And so the album releases August 6th, so shortly after that. And you can download it digitally. And you can purchase a CD. Can you do both?
Yes, I'm going to have CDs available on my website, florbromleymusic.com. And I can autograph them cheap and free.
Ooh, okay. We'll
Love it.
definitely put your website below in our show notes.
Yes.
And then I was looking on your website and you have a ton of concerts coming up.
Yeah.
What does that feel like?
I
assume COVID affected that for a long time.
Yeah, I started doing virtual right away because a friend of mine who just won the Grammy last year for children's music, Journey Leeds, she started doing it right away. And I'm like, I'm going to follow her footsteps. And I have no idea how this works. In fact, my first Facebook Live was like, I couldn't really figure out the landscaping.
Yeah.
But I just threw myself out there, and my husband was like, just do it. We're going to lose. And so I stayed active, and then people were hiring me to do virtual shows. So the hybrid model is staying, but there's nothing like being in person with children and being able to interact with them. I had a concert yesterday, and I was able to bring them into the stage to be the characters of one of my songs, the condor, the puma, and the snake.
Oh, that's so cool.
Did all the voices, and the 2 twins were the condor, and this guy was the puma, and the other guy was a snake who didn't want to crawl. But it's fun. It's it's right there. It's live, and I miss that. I miss that energy.
Yeah. So that'll be awesome that you get to do more of that now.
Hopefully.
Definitely.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I know.
things
Things are
going.
changing a little bit.
I know.
But is it something where I know you're a mom, is it something that you can bring the whole family with to tour?
Yes, I am actually looking into maybe traveling to Miami for Hispanic Heritage Month. I've been having a request from the Miami Children's Museum. So I'm trying to figure out if I should take the family or if I should not. It's a catch-22. I have 2 kids. One is 6 and the other one is 2. And it's great being able to bring them to shows and concerts. But whenever you bring your kids, you stay with them and sit with them. Whenever I bring my kids, I'm on the stage. And they want to be with me.
Yeah.
So the 2-year-old is flipping upside down. Mommy. My husband is trying to put him away so he doesn't disturb the audience. And the same thing happened with my daughter when she was 2. So there's a period that is kind of hard to bring them, and then it gets better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still figuring it out if I'm going to bring them to Miami or not.
Yeah.
It's definitely that feeling of you're distracted because you need to be in business mode, but your heart's in mom mode because you see your kids and you're like, they're being naughty. Oh, do I need to say, nope, I can't do it. Do I need to say something? I don't know. So I totally get it.
Yeah.
And I guess it depends on how long you'll be there too, but gosh, I mean, that touring can be a long time, I imagine. So
the good thing about children's music is that usually the concerts are on weekends. So you can go in and out. There's some concerts during the week as well, but usually they try to put them on weekends so that everybody can go, parents that work
Right.
and take their kids.
Right.
Mhm.
So that actually works for us. So I haven't toured yet because I've been a little nervous about it, and then I have my kid, and then I have my other kid, and then COVID
Mhm.
happened.
Yeah.
But now I'm ready. I think I'm ready, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I hope.
And how much did they play into the new album, especially being in quarantine and being home with them all the time?
Right.
How much were they inspiring you in any kind of way for the new album?
Well, I asked my daughter to be a part of one of the songs.
Oh.
So she sings in Luz, which means light in Spanish. And she sings in that one. And she also tried to help me with writing the Mother Nature song, the Naturaleza song. And you know what? I got some of her ideas, but it's hard. You're writing with a 6-year-old.
Mhm.
Right.
So as she grows a little bit older, I can't wait to incorporate her ideas into the album, because I have been a teaching artist for songwriting before, so I know that kids give you the most honest and raw answers and to write good songs. So
Yeah.
I can't wait. But she's part of the album today.
Yeah,
No.
that's awesome.
So
Yeah.
I'm
You
That's
know,
really
being a parent is busy enough. How do you manage being, a performing artist and having a family and being a spouse?
I don't sleep.
Yeah.
I hear that answer a lot.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's hard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The good thing is that I work, like, I take one class a day nearby my home, and then I work those times when I have a big concert. Like this week's been crazy, and I'm glad my mom is here. She came here for my cousin's wedding this past weekend, and I'm like, please stay because I need help.
Yeah.
And she's from Peru, so she's here this week to help. But whenever I do have concerts, I book babysitters. I try, and then I work after they go to sleep.
Yeah.
There's a couple of hours left in the day, and I work there. My husband is a trooper. He helps me. He like that washes the dishes. He helps me with the house,
Yeah.
and it's a team. It's teamwork, but it only gets easier, right? Once your kids get older,
It totally does.
Yeah.
different but easier in a way.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
It is such a balancing act. We're kind of going through the transition period now where both of my kids are going to be in school this year. Jen's youngest is going to be in preschool, and
Mhm.
her son's going to be in school. So we're like kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel now. And we're like, wait, what do we do with our time?
Yeah.
We're gonna have free time? What is that? What is that like? So it's strange. They tell you like it goes by so fast. This
Mhm.
is just gonna be a blur. And now we're at that point and it's just so wild.
Yeah.
Yes. My youngest is also going to preschool, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be able to actually focus on my audience instead of having him in the stroller right next to me.
Yeah.
I mean, to that is that this year we haven't had that many in person. So I kind of just started bringing him in, like, I don't know, when springtime came.
Mhm.
And I remember it was tough, but it's doable. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the good thing about my career, that I can actually do it. Other parents cannot. And I'm just blessed and thankful for that.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, doing a show while your son's in a stroller, like moms are superheroes.
Right? Yeah.
swear.
Exactly.
We get
It's
it
all
done.
about moms being superheroes. My last album.
Yeah.
Which that last album was one of the best albums of 2020.
By Red Tricycle. Yes.
Yes.
And
Let's just leave it at that. It's one of the best
Right.
albums of 2020.
That's all I know it as.
Yeah, right.
That's so
It was
cool.
hard to take that album out during quarantine, but my lovely PR person, Elizabeth Wellman, she was like, you want to do it? Let's do it. Let's just do it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what? Is going to sit here for like another year? No, I just
Right.
want to put her in the world. And it was good. We were happy with the results.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that worked
Yeah.
out for you. Didn't it?
And so you sat with Lori, our mutual friend Lori Berkner. We can say that, right? I mean,
our
yeah.
girl Lori.
So you sat with her to discuss the transition to children's music. What made you want to do that transition?
Everything that she just said, it just resonated with what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Of course, she comes from bigger concerts and a bigger crowd,
Mhm.
and it's hard. The hardest thing that she mentioned was that you have to keep reinventing yourself because your audience does grow and they stop listening. And I was like, I think I can do it. So that's one of the hardest part. But like, you know, the way that she talked about just, you know, being with the kids and just, you know, always, it's a challenge, but at the same time, it's exciting to reinvent yourself, to just put things out there. And that's I love challenges. So
yeah. See, for me, that sounds exhausting. and I admire that spirit, because that sounds like such a mountain to climb over and over again. But it's also why I'm not an entertainer, and you are. I think that's incredible. And the fact that your music offers different genres, like from all around the world, it's just so clever. It gives you a different taste, and it also opens the music to so many different people. Like you have kind of samples from like the Dominican Republic, and some Tex-Mex, some tango, some country and folk, and it, like I said, it just opens it up to different types of people, different types of music. And I think that's great, and it keeps it interesting too, because you never know what each song is going to be like on the next track.
Well, that's one of my missions. You know, I grew up with a lot of musical influences, and then when I travel abroad, I realized that it just, you know, people listen to different kind of music, but it's kind of all the same. So I want to do that. I want to keep kids interested in that. It's like, oh, this is tango. What is it from? What's Argentina? You know, let me Google that and figure out where it is, because it sparks curiosity, and I think it makes you a better global citizen as you grow up, to know more about different cultures, to have that curiosity of traveling and knowing more about another culture, and it makes you more
empathetic.
Empathetic.
Empowered.
Empathic.
They all work.
They all work. All the words work.
It makes you know other cultures and feel better about knowing them.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I love how you do sing in English and Spanish. Like my kids every once in a while will go into, I feel like, you know, there have been times where I've kind of been like, look, ooh, let's learn some Spanish. And sometimes they're into it and sometimes they're not. And I love when they're into it. And sometimes they initiate the conversation and they want to like, Mommy, can you by the way, I only took Spanish in high school. I am not fluent in Spanish. I still I can understand some things better than I can speak, but so they'll sometimes ask me words and I'll know, all of a sudden it will pop in my head and they're like, whoa, Mommy, you know Spanish. But so
throwing out a curveball.
Yeah, exactly. So listening to your songs with them, I was like, oh, you have to listen because she's singing in English and Spanish. And they're like, what? Both in the song. So I think that's great too, because it's keeping the kids engaged as they think they're starting to learn the song. Oh, wait, here's another way to say the song as well. Yeah. And I think that's awesome too.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm trying something new with this one. It's like a dual language album. So songs are completely in English and completely in Spanish. So once because the audience says, like you said, sometimes the kids want to hear that and sometimes the kids just want to rest. Yeah. So I decided to try this away, because when I released a couple of singles in my previous album, so my first album was only bilingual. And then the second album was bilingual too, but I did release a couple of songs just in English and just in Spanish. And I think like the people that spoke Spanish were more drawn to just the Spanish music, and the people that spoke English were more drawn to the English music. So this is my new and only dual language album, and let's see how it goes. I'm excited because if you like a song in English, then maybe you want to learn it in Spanish too.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, that's a great idea. I love that.
I thought that was a nice touch. I am teaching my kids Spanish. I've been probably relearning it for the better part of a year. So my kids like sit and do Duolingo with me at night. Yeah. I don't know how much I'm really learning, because the first thing they teach you is like how to say apple. And I'm like, how is this helping me? I need to learn how to talk to someone, not how to say like bread and apple. But no, it's good for them. We're kind of moving on to those bilingual books, and that I like the concept of the duo songs. So I'm definitely gonna have to play this for them. Yeah. And thank you for the sampling of the album, by the way. I didn't get to thank you for that.
Anytime.
So what is next for you? I know that you have a lot of concerts coming up. Do you have any other plans beyond third album, 2 kids, lots of concerts. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
You don't have, oh, I was going to say, it doesn't sound like anything's going on really.
What do we do all day, Jen?
A lot, I bet. No, I'm gonna release it, and I'm gonna be like, and then I'm gonna go on vacation for a week with
Yeah.
the family, and then come back from our concerts, come back from our hustling, and then I already have some songs and some more collaborators. I cannot really release due to the record label. I cannot really release anything until after 6 months. So this is for next year. But I already have reached out to people about doing other songs, and I have all these ideas. I seriously get inspired by like just driving and I hear something that sounds good. Like yesterday, I was driving back from New Jersey, and my mom was like, "Oh, your son didn't want a nap today," and I was listening to No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this would be a good kid song, but I'm gonna modify it.
Yeah.
I kind of just like started writing something in the car and doing a little bit about no nap today.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
I just write songs whenever, and I'm always writing. So I can't wait to keep writing and keep throwing music into the world that matters.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Is it hard to have all these songs, all the ideas, and then have to decide which makes the cut for the album? It'd be like choosing like which child you love less.
Right.
Like, sorry, honey, you have to wait out here.
Well, this is why I have my co-producer. Like he helps me choose, and whenever I bring the songs to him, he just makes it better. He has all these musical ideas, so we have the structures. Like I always said, and I was explaining this to a child the other day, like I write the music, I write the skeleton, like your human body, I write the skeleton. My producer puts some muscle into it, and then the musicians put the skin, and then the mixer and the master put the makeup and the clothes, and then you have a final product. But you wouldn't do anything without the skeleton. So the skeleton is the most important part. Yeah. So I love writing all the skeletons, and I love having them there. And I know that at some point they will get released. There's a song that was actually featured on PBS because I did a video of the song, but it's never been recorded.
Wow. So that's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Called Manos, hands, and it's a nice little ditty, but we haven't been able to put it. It didn't fit in the last album, didn't fit on this album. So maybe just as a single, I'll release it next year.
Right.
There you
maybe
go.
Just as like a streamed one.
That's so funny. And you mentioned that you have collaborations in mind, but you have more on this album aside from Lori as well, right?
Yes.
Yes.
South Paul, which is a hip hop musician who does the rap on Peas and Carrots. And we have, what else we have? We have Wendy Zulka, which is a Peruvian folk pop star. She was really famous. She went viral doing Huayno songs, Peruvian folk songs, when she was very little, like 9 years old.
Yeah.
And then she did a really fun song with other couple Peruvian artists, and they went viral.
Yeah.
And then now she reinvented herself. She went a little bit more pop, and now she's going back to the roots again, doing collaborations with Peruvian folk artists like Susana Baca, and who won a Latin Grammy. So I'm so grateful to have her in my album with a tribute to our grandmothers, because I talked to her. She's like, but I don't speak Quechua, and I'm like, I don't either, but did your grandma spoke Quechua? And she's like, yes, so let's do it as a tribute to her grandmothers. And she was in, and I also have a friend of mine, Miss Laurita, who does a lot of songs in Peru, and Justin Langsing from the Okie Dokie Brothers, who is in Totora Horse playing the banjo and saying some fun stuff, and Elena Moon Park, who plays the violin and the saw on Ocean.
Yeah. The saw. Who knew that was an instrument?
I know, right? That's so cool though, that you are able to work with so many different artists. I love that. And I love that, we have talked to some other children's artists on the podcast, and I always feel like I'm learning about new people through them as well, that I didn't know about, and then I can kind of expand my children's musical knowledge. But I think it's such a great space, and there's so many talented people in it that I don't think get the credit that they deserve. So it's so great that you have an album like this where there's more people for me to even learn about. That's really cool.
Things, you know, the kindy world, we call it kindy, kids independent
I
music.
need to be saying that because I need to be cool. So
Kindy.
kindy worlds.
We're in the know now.
Right. I need to be up with my lingo. Yeah.
What's funny is that, like, when you go to TikTok and you type kindy, a lot of Korean indie music comes up too.
That's funny.
You're like, that's not what I'm looking for.
No, this isn't it.
Fight with the K, Korean kindy, and kindy kids independent. But we're trying to make it happen, and I think it's already been happening. Like Spotify has a kindy playlist for you.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Great.
So yeah, it's a big world out there, and then and you discover all this cool music, and only a few people are you know, able to know all of this. And I think, but I do think it's growing. I think more parents, especially Gen X parents, you know, the younger parents, are into these things and discovering new music that they can actually enjoy with their kids as well.
Yeah, and I think that's been a common theme. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
you,
I was going to keep going. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, that I think that's a common theme in who we're talking to, that to make music more for the whole family to enjoy and not just driven towards the kids. So the parents are sitting through the concerts like, okay, let's just get through it. You know, they're enjoying the music just as much. And
well, and what I love for that kindy genre is have you heard of Twinkle? Do you guys know each other?
Yeah, she's half
Twinkle
Peruvian.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, they should collab. Because she's very big on the bilingual songs and doing one in English and Spanish. What I love is that her radio show that she's hosting, she's always looking for the newest child's entertainer and the newest songs and singles that are dropping. And so she was the prime example of that was popping up in my head of people who, you know, doesn't care where you come from, doesn't care, you know, when the last time you dropped a song. She's like, if I like the song, I'm going to play it on the radio.
Yeah.
I have a radio show too on the same channel on Jump 105.
Do you really?
Yes.
Oh, tell us about it.
Yes.
It's called Tunes, Tales, and More with Archie and Flor. Archie is my puppet, so I do the voice of Archie. So I'm just pretty much talking to myself. But actually I'm not, because he has a different personality. So this is why all the artistry comes into my mind. And like when I'm actually talking, I actually have the puppet with me, and I'm like, we have a full-on conversation. And I play kids music is eternal, right? So I play different songs from here and there depending on what Archie and me are talking about. So last time we talked about sports, and we were talking about all the songs about sports. And I think this week we're gonna do songs about Mother Earth, Pachamama.
Yes.
And you know, next week we might do science, because I have song about science. You know, the drop of water, which is the cycle of water. And so we just have a good time, and just we pop some songs of friends of mine and people sometimes that I don't know that send me their stuff. So it's cool. And sometimes I plug in a story.
Wow,
that's so cool.
How long have you been doing that for?
This is episode maybe 18, so 18 weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we gotta make sure that we plug that
We need
too.
to put that in the show notes as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. You mentioned puppetry earlier, and I was going to come back to that because you kind of just like, oh, and I was interested in this. So I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah, in your About Me
are we
section, it said
still-
puppetry, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. How did you have puppets growing up? Was this something you discovered through theater? How did you get into puppetry?
I got a puppet growing up that I would just, you know, play and do songs. And I realized that I could do funny voices. And my parents were like, so I was like the entertainer of the family gatherings.
Yeah.
I never really thought of anything else because puppetry wasn't big in Peru. And we had Plaza Sesamo, which was from Sesame Street, but it was different. It wasn't Sesame Street. And I would never think of that anybody can actually make a career out of puppetry. I was just thinking that it was like, oh, it's cool. But yeah, if maybe I was brought up somewhere else, that could have been my career path. But there was a time that I did a lot of puppetry shows. I was actually doing stuff for the Swedish Marionette Cottage Theater. And then I was like, I love it, but it's a lot of physical work.
Mhm.
And I was just like, oh man, this is really tiring.
Yeah.
Even when you do the puppets on TV, like you're like on the floor with your hand all the way up
Oh,
high.
it'd be so tiring.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, maybe I'm not gonna pursue this that much because I
Yeah.
love it, but I'm gonna just do music here. If it's just because, and then I got pregnant and I just really couldn't do it.
Mhm.
right.
Because I my belly and the puppet.
Yeah, how's that gonna work?
I couldn't. So I think all this, and then but I do combine puppetry in my shows, and I bring the puppets whenever I am able to.
That's so cool.
And that's just another way that makes you stand out
Mhm.
from the rest, because anyone can be, a singer, anyone can be a performer, but it's those little things that make you stand out. And there's so many different ways that you stand out,
Mhm.
which is wonderful. And obviously, I mean, having the best album of 2020,
Right.
everyone else sees
Exactly.
that.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for being on our show. It was so great of you to make the time.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Can we do some plugs? Where can
Yes.
everyone find you? Social media, website, tell us everything.
My website is florbromleymusic.com. And I'm on all social media, Facebook and Instagram. I just joined TikTok.
Yes.
First video
We're going to
has
find you there.
600 views. So I'm excited.
Is Archie on TikTok too?
Not yet.
Oh.
Okay.
It's
cute.
weird because sometimes when I put videos of Archie, it doesn't get that, you would think that it would get a lot of attention.
Views,
And it
yeah.
doesn't. It's kind of odd. But I might include him on TikTok at some point. And then I am, all my music is, of course, in every digital platform, Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon and Tidal and Deezer and Pandora.
And the radio show.
Yes.
The radio show is on Jump 105.3 Pittsburgh, and you can also listen to it online and on Alexa. And I actually just created, and I'm gonna put all the episodes there. A link on my website called Radio Show. And if you click on it, you can listen to any episode. It's
Oh,
there.
perfect.
That's
Okay.
so cool.
So just head
Awesome.
to our website, you guys. I hope you're having a great day, night, whatever you're doing, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Magical Mommy Monday podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Magical Mommy Monday, on Twitter at Magic Mom Monday, or you can email us at magicalmommymondays@gmail.com. The music you heard on this episode was produced by Matt Harvey. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.